All right. Hi, good evening, Leandro. How do you feel today?
Good evening. I'm fine, thank you.
Great. That's great to know. So let's start as always. Okay. Today we have to start the new unit. So I'm going to do the usual thing. Okay. We're going to go to Pearson and I'm going to be assigning the new unit. And in the meantime, again, you can let me know if you had any questions or if you had any difficulties in the previous unit. I believe that you still have until today, right, to complete everything. But I don't know. Do you have any questions? Did you have any problems? Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. Good. So in the meantime, as I'm doing this, sorry, as this is a new product, we are kind of reviewing everything that you should have learned before, or at least that's part of the product. Okay. Now we have to see the present perfect and the present perfect continuous, and we already practiced that. Okay. But we're going to put a lot more emphasis today to review and to be sure that you don't have any problems. All right, so before going there, let's try to remember, as I'm assigning here, let's try to just have the conversation. What do you remember about the present perfect and the present perfect continuous? Remember, the present perfect is something like, I have done that before, and the present perfect continuous is something like, I have been running, that's why I'm tired. Okay, so what can you tell me about those structures, Leandro?
I remember the structures and with have and have been, but I don't remember exactly where we use this. But I remember the I have been is yo estuve haciendo, but the first, the present perfect, I don't remember. I don't remember when and where do we use that.
Okay, good. It's good that you let me know that. And it's great. Again, always just by doing this, we practice a lot, right? When you explain to me, if you can, well, explain that structure to me, or if you don't, right? It's equally, all right, very, very useful. Okay, because we practice by speaking and we don't have to remember everything because this is grammar. Okay, so we have to practice then. Then let me ask you then, what is the difference between I have studied before and I studied yesterday? What do you say? The first one is I have studied before, and the second one is I studied yesterday. What do you say? What differences do you think that these two ideas have?
Well, I don't remember, but I think is the action is the difference. In the first, the action it's conclude, and in the second one, the action is doesn't conclude, but I don't know.
Okay, good. Just one correction there. Instead, if the is doesn't remember, you say only isn't. Isn't finished, you can say, or isn't in. Good.
Okay.
Very well. Good. All right. Yes, actually, you're very close. You're right. The first one is a finished action, or actually, the second one would be, let me remember.
Yes.
I have, right? The second one is finished, right? So when you say I studied yesterday, finished. But when you say I have studied before, actually, we don't know. It can be finished, it can be unfinished, right? That's why, if you remember, this is the indefinite past, right? Because we don't know or we don't want to say when, right? Remember, it's impossible to say when if you use the present perfect, okay? That's the most important part. This is the indefinite past, All right. So try to give me, please, the indefinite past of this one. If the indefinite past of I studied yesterday is I have studied before, right? And a specific,
Mm-hmm.
you don't tell me when. What is the indefinite past of this idea? I went to the party last week. I went to the party last week. What do you say? How do you change that to the present perfect?
Um, I I have. Can you repeat, please, the
Is I
sentence?
went to the party last week. I went to the party or to that party last week.
Okay. Um, um, I I have went or I have go. I don't remember. I have went.
In that one, you need the last conjugation. Remember, it's the past participle. And go is irregular. So it's
Mm-hmm.
different in all the
Oh,
conjugations, right? So it's go, the simple past is went, but the past participle is gone.
gone.
Gone, right? Gone,
Okay.
exactly.
I have gone. I have gone to the party um, a week ago, 1 week ago.
Close. It's good. The structure is good, but remember, if you tell me a week ago, is going to be incorrect because we know when. And remember, with the present perfect, we never say when. Okay, so don't
Mm-hmm.
tell me when. You have options. You can tell me before. In that case, I don't know when. You can tell
Mm-hmm.
me once. You can tell me twice. You can tell me periods of time, but you never tell me when. Okay, if you tell me when, it is going to be incorrect, right? So the idea is good, but don't say when it happened. Only say the number of times it happened or put emphasis on the idea that it happened. You can simply say again, I have gone to that party before, right? And period. But you don't, we are
Okay.
not going to say when. Okay, perfect. The
Mm-hmm.
same here. Okay, the same here. One more. How do you say this? She, all right. Mm, let's try to remember this verb. She wrote an article 2 hours ago. She wrote an article 2 hours ago. So, what is the present perfect idea for that sentence?
Can you repeat, please, the sentence?
Yes, she wrote an
Mm-hmm.
article 2 hours ago.
Okay. She have written before.
Good. Just one detail instead of have, because she
Has
is going to be
has
has.
has
Perfect.
yes.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
She has written an article before, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
once or twice. Or you can say she has written an article for 2 hours, right? We know the period of time, but we don't know when. Or you can
Okay.
mention the starting period of time, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
valid. You can say she has written an article since, right, Monday. All right. And
Mm-hmm.
we know the starting point, but we don't know when it finished, or we don't know, or yes, or we don't know if it finished. Okay, that's the idea. With the present perfect, we never know when. Okay, we can know the starting period of time with since, that's the most you can know, but you never know when it finished. Okay, that's going to be the main characteristic of that, of this structure. All right. So I want to assure, so you have everything assigned already, Leandro. Remember, you
Mm-hmm.
have until today to finish Unit 2. You still have that quiz, right? You can take it today and do everything after the class. But starting today, also, you have to work on Unit 3, and you have until Thursday, okay, Thursday, 11:59 p.m. And today and tomorrow are going to be for this unit. Okay, so I don't know if you have any questions first about Pearson before going to the lesson itself, Leandro.
No, I don't have questions.
All right, so let's go directly to Google. I'm going to share this document just in case, because I know the last class we work with writing. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this class perhaps we're going to write some examples, or perhaps it's going to be just speaking, but we're going to see, all right, how it goes. But just in case, the link is in the chat, in case we have to write some ideas. So let's then continue. So remember, that's very important. You only use this: I have gone, she has written, they have given, only if you don't mention when. Okay, that's very important to remember. If you want to mention when, you have to use the simple past, right? So let's read this, please, as a review, Leon.
Okay, and to know about the present perfect, it is important to remember the simple past. We use the simple past to talk about definite events in the past. For example, she traveled, traveled,
It's okay. The
uh,
first one is okay. Traveled.
traveled to Santa Cruz yesterday. They took their test last weekend. I watched the movie last month. Peter and I went to the concert 2 days ago.
Great. Very well. So if you realize when you use the simple past, you know when, right? For example, how do you answer? When did you travel to Santa Cruz?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, right? You know when. You can answer that and you can locate that in a calendar, right? If I give you a calendar or we open a calendar, right, let's suppose that it was yesterday, we know that it was February, Monday the 13th, right? We know. If we say last weekend, we also know that it was possibly one of these 2 days, right? Perhaps Friday the 10th, perhaps Saturday the 11th, or perhaps Sunday the 12th, right? The same the last month, right? So with the simple past, you can locate that event in a calendar. Okay, if you remember that, you're always going to know when to use the simple past and when to use the present perfect. The present perfect is past, but you don't know when, or you don't want to say when, it's not important, or simply you don't believe it's necessary. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's simple past. This is not the main idea, but let's remember this, please. This is important to know that we have two types of verbs. Let's read this also, please.
Okay. To write a sentence in the simple past, you need a verb in that tense. There are two kinds of verbs, regular and irregular. Regular verbs, watch plus ed, like plus d, travel plus ed, fix plus ed, etc. Irregular verbs, write, wrote, written, eat, ate, eaten, drink, drank, drunk, etc. Now, try to give some examples yourself.
Okay, good. Here, let's participate here. But let's remember then, if it's regular, you have to memorize, right? But only memorize the verbs that you want, or even you don't have to memorize, just practice a lot and you're going to remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watch is regular, so you have to add ed. Like is regular, but it finishes in e, so you only add d, right? The same with travel, the same with fix. So watched, liked, traveled, and fixed, right? But if you have irregular verbs, you know that they change, right? Sometimes the conjugation is the same. Remember, it can be read, read is the same the two times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it changes, like here, write, wrote, written, eat, ate, eaten, right? And drink, drank, drunk, right? And remember, you have similar verbs like begin, began, began, swim, swam, swam. Okay, you have similarities. Here it can be give, gave, given, right? Take, took, taken, and they are similar, right? So you can try to memorize verbs and organize them in groups. And the ones that are similar are going to be easier to remember. All right. But now, just by speaking, please, Leandro, what are some other regular verbs that you remember, but you cannot mention these ones? What do you say? What other verbs that are regular you remember?
Um, uh, uh,
Try to think in the basic verbs, basic actions that you can do. When you learn English, right, you always use very basic verbs. What are those basic verbs that you can mention?
play,
Yes, play is one of them. It's regular, correct. What else?
Mm, um, learn.
Yes, learned. It's difficult because even though it can be with ed, it's
Mm-hmm.
considered irregular because sometimes learned is with a t. Okay, it's with ed, but learned can have a variation with a t. The same with dream. Okay, it can be dreamt with t, but it's also with ed. Okay, so yes, it can be considered regular, but it has a variation. Okay, just for you to know.
Okay.
But okay, it's a variety. It's good. What else? What else comes to your mind?
Um, brush.
Yes, brushed. Good.
Um,
What is the verb for a necessity?
need.
Need, right? Needed. And we say
Need.
et because it's with d, right? Anytime the verb finishes in d or in
Mm-hmm.
t, right, we make the ed more noticeable, right? Good. What is the verb for a desire? What do you say?
I want.
Exactly, right? So
Mm-hmm.
wanted, right?
Wanted.
Needed, wanted. Then you have played, right? Those are very, very basic verbs that we have to know. Okay, let's try please just two more. Okay, let's try to make an effort. What other two verbs do you remember that are regular?
Mm-hmm. Um, I don't know. Paint.
Yes, correct. Paint, painted. It is
Mm-hmm.
regular. One more, please. Just one more.
Jump.
Yes, jumped, right? Jumped.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So they have different pronunciations, right? It depends on what? It depends on the ending, right? If the ending has certain consonants, it's going to sound in a different way, right, than when it has other consonants, right? That's very important to know, but I believe that you know that one. Now, irregular can be sometimes harder, but let's try to remember four. All right, four. I'm going to help you, but let's try you first. What four irregular verbs that you remember that they change in pronunciation or in writing when you conjugate it in past, in simple past, and in past participle?
Buy.
Good, by. And what are the two conjugations in past for by? What do you say?
Bought.
Good. And the
And
past participle?
I don't remember.
Good. In this case, it's the same. Okay, it's
Uh,
bought in this case, and it's instead of it's going to be more like oh, bought. All
Okay.
right, so good.
It's
Buy,
buy,
bought, and bought.
bought and bought.
Good. Now we
Okay.
good. That's one. What else? Three more, please.
Mm, go.
Okay, go is
No,
one.
go.
What is the
Mhm.
conjugation for go?
Go, went, gone.
Exactly. Go,
Or
went, gone. Right. Very well. Right. What about two more, please?
mm, um, uh, keep. I think it's correct.
Yes. Keep. What is the conjugation for
Yes.
keep?
Kept, kept, and I don't remember the last
Good.
one.
In this case, it's also the same, right? So it's going to be
Yes.
keep, kept, kept, right? Great, with
Okay.
a PT, right? PT.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Very well. One more, please. The last one.
Mm, begin.
Okay, begin.
Begin. Yes.
Begin. Good. What is the conjugation for begin?
Um, begin, began, begun, began.
Good. Just be careful with the pronunciation. Remember the a is going to be more like e, and the u is a. So it's going to be begin, began, and began.
Okay, began and began.
Yes, correct. Okay, good. Now again, it's important that you if you practice a lot, if you listen to a lot of English, then perhaps you don't need it. Okay.
Mhm.
But if you know that you are not speaking English all the time, or if you don't consume, right, English material or, well, English in general, it's important that you try to list, or sorry, try to look for a list of verbs. Look for the verbs that you know that you use more frequently and try to memorize those conjugations. Okay, it's up to you. You can choose to
Okay.
memorize or you can choose to be surrounded by English. But again, it's up to you. It's according to the time that you have, according to the tastes that you have, right? The series that you watch, if you watch them in English. But actually, let me ask you something before continuing. How close are you to English, Leandro? I mean, how much English do you consume every day in music, in series, in TV? I don't know, in anything that you do. What do you say?
Um, I how do you say trato?
I try.
I tried um that consume movies and also podcasts and video games. When I start this course, I put everything in English, but I don't have enough time, and is this. But I tried to listen to music, to I tried to watch movies, to play video games in English with
Great, that's perfect.
subtitles in English too.
Very well. Yes, that's the best thing to do. One mistake is that sometimes people, right, have the captions or the subtitles in Spanish, right? But
Mhm.
that can be at the beginning, perhaps, right? But now you're in a level in which Spanish is not necessary anymore, right? Just in very specific cases could be, but it's great. It's great what you're doing. Okay, that's perfect. And for not having time, that's also a reality, right? So what you do is great. Music and podcasts are sometimes the best options, right? Why? Because you don't need a specific time to do it, right? Sometimes you can do it as you are going to your university or to your job, right? In the car, in the bus, you can be listening to music, or when you're walking to the next part you have to go, when you're going to eat, or as you are eating, right? You can watch TV or simply you can listen to some things, right? So there's always a way to be listening to English. And I think that's the most important thing to do, right? To listen. And when you have the time also, it's important to read some articles or simply to read, right? Whatever you have in English, that it's something that you like, right? And that's perfect. And if you have your computer, your cell phone, and everything configured, right? Or set in English, it's also a plus, right? So it's
Mhm.
great. It's great that you're doing that. And it's important because sometimes some people are just with the class, right? And after the class, they don't have contact with English. And that's good, but it's going to take more time, right? It's harder if you only learn English in the class and if you don't see English outside the classroom, right? It's going to take more time for you to learn. It's going to be more difficult. And it's going to be something that is not going to feel good for you, right? Because if you, for example, play video games or listen to music that you like, it's more likely that you're going to learn more words, right? Because I know that sometimes classes can be boring or repetitive. So you need to use this as a basis, but you need to have something that you like, right? That's very
Mhm.
important. If you don't have something that you like in English, it's going to be very hard, right? So I think the simple then past is clear. You know that the simple past is always definite, so you have to say when. And common expressions are last, right? Last month, last week, ago. That means, right? 2 days ago, 3 years ago, in to mention a specific time, in 1990, in June, on when you want to mention a date, and when you want to give an idea in the past, when I was a child, when I was younger, when I had a big house, right? You give a reference in past. So let me see the time that we got. Yes, we're going to have actually time to do it. Just to remember, please, this is simple past, okay? Not present perfect, simple past. Let's go please to the document, Leandro, and you're going to write only 3 examples. Okay, 3 examples in simple past, and you have to use 3 different expressions. Okay, for example, can be one with last, one with ago, and one with on. Okay, but 3 different expressions. Let's do it, please. We're going to have again the 1 minute per exercise. It means 3 minutes. I'm going to set the timer.
In present perfect?
No, in the simple past. Remember that in the
Simple
present
past.
perfect, we don't use last or in on, right? This is
Okay.
only for the
Yes.
simple past.
Okay.
All right, good. I'm going to set the timer. Good. So in 3 minutes, we check.
Okay. I finished.
All right, good. So it's just 3 minutes, so that's perfect. Let's please read. I'm here with you. Okay, I'm here. So let's read please those ideas.
Okay, I was born in August 31st. You start the university classes last month. He came to visit us 2 days ago.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Good. Only then one observation in the first one. Remember, if you only mention the month, it's going to be in June. But if you mention the month plus the day, it's going to be on.
On.
All right, so on June. So if here, on August. Exactly.
On August.
And remember that you said it very well first, so it's going to be ST instead of TH.
Okay.
Okay, only the first 3 are different, right? First, ST, second, ND, and third, right, RD. But the rest of them are just TH. right? Good. Good. You started university classes last month. That's also valid. He came right to visit us. You can, in this one is correct, but sometimes it's better if you only choose one of those words. If you say directly, he came 2 days ago, or he visited us 2 days ago, right? It's better to have only one. But again, it's not incorrect, all right? It is good. So that's perfect. Again, this is not the main lesson, but it's important that you know how to use the simple past. Okay, so one more time, remember, simple past is when you can say when. Okay, so you use these structures. Now, the next one is the present perfect. Here, you don't use those structures. You're not going to say when, because we don't know, or we don't care, or you don't want to say that. Okay, that's very important. So let's read please this slide.
Okay, we use the present perfect to talk about indefinite events in the past. They have watched that movie before. Watched. And we have traveled to Santa Cruz 3 times. Peter has studied for the test for many days. She has eaten pasta many times. Ate, eaten.
Very well. Good. Now, if I ask you, is it possible to ask when for these four ideas? What do you say?
No.
No, right? It's impossible. So you are never going to ask, okay, never, when have you? Because we don't know when, all right? It's never going to be the case. You don't use when with the present perfect. We use period of time. A very common question for the present perfect, Leandro, is how long, all right? Like por cuánto tiempo, but not when. Okay, so you can ask, for example, how long have you worked there? Okay, imagine that I asked that, Leandro. Imagine that I asked you, how long have you studied in that school? Okay, how can you answer that one? How long have you studied in that school?
How long have you?
How long means a period of time, right? Por cuánto tiempo? So it means that your answer is going to involve for, or is going to involve since.
In the schools, 12 years.
Okay, and how do you give a complete answer? How do you say, yo he estudiado en esa escuela por 12 años? How do you say that?
I have studied for 12 years.
Correct. That's it. We don't know when. Okay, we don't know when. 12 years can be 50 years ago. 12 years can be the last 12 years, right? But we don't know when. But we know how long. Okay, so this is present perfect. The present perfect is period of time and indefinite past. Okay, that's very important to remember. So again, if I ask this, is incorrect. When have you studied in that school? That's incorrect because we cannot say when with have you. Okay, you can say when did you study in that school, and you can say I studied there 2 years ago, right? And then you can ask, and for how long have you studied there? And you say, I've studied there for 12 years. Okay, so you can combine the simple past to give a specific time and the present perfect to say how long it happened. All right, that's very important to remember. Now here we have to use the third conjugation, that is the past participle. So let's read this, please, also.
Okay, conjugation. To write a sentence in the present perfect, you need to use have or has and the past participle of the verb. Have, I, we, you, they, and has, he, she, it. Past participle, eat, ate, eaten, go, went, gone, give, gave, given. Ride, rode, ridden.
Very well. Just this little detail, instead of a in gap, it's going to be a, right? Give, gave, and given.
Gave.
Correct.
Yes.
Good. So again, the third conjugation, right? So eaten, gone, given, written, taken, right? Dreamt, then swam, began, right? All the last conjugations, you have to use them here in affirmative, in negative, and in questions. Okay, in all the conjugations, you use that, as you can see here. Okay, in affirmative, you use the past participle, given. In negative, you use the past participle, given. And in questions, you use the past participle, given. Okay, so always the past participle. That's different from the simple past, right? In the simple past, is only in affirmative, went. But in negative is go. I didn't go. In questions is go. Did you go? Right? So in simple past, it changes. But here, it doesn't change. Okay, it's always the past participle. And here you have examples, right? I have given a gift before. I haven't given a gift before. And have you given a gift before? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. What have you given before? A gift. I have given a gift. All right. So with this logic, please, Leandro, let's do the following. It's very important that this is clear. So we're going to write 6 ideas. All right. It's going to be 2 affirmative, 2 negative, 2 questions. All right. 6 in total. And it has to be with 6 different verbs. Okay. 6 different verbs. We don't have to repeat the verbs. But also, besides that, okay, it's going to take a long time because it has to be specific. We are going to use these expressions. Okay, I'm going to sign which ones. One is going to be with before. The other one is going to be with once or twice. All right. One is going to be with for. The other one for since or with since. Sorry. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. One is going to be with already. And the last one is going to be with yet. Okay, try to using these expressions in the way that you know how to do it. At the end, I'm going to check and I'm going to correct if it's okay. All
Okay.
right. So one more time, 6 examples, 2 affirmative, 2 negative, 2 questions, and we have to use these 6 expressions. That's it. We have 5 to 6 minutes. If you finish before, let me know and we check, please, Leandro.
Okay.
Good. Let's do it. Right, we're going to check in 30 seconds, please. So be finishing the last details and we read in 30 seconds.
Okay. Um,
All right, so I'm going to see
okay.
how you're doing and
Mhm.
let's read. Okay, good. Then I'm here. Let's read, please, all those ideas,
Um, okay. Yeah. I have gone to this place before. She has forgotten her ID twice this year, and you haven't bought something for you for years. Um, he hasn't sold his dog since 2022. Have they start the video game already? Have you started the homework yet?
Good, perfect. Okay, good. Few details, only few details. In general, it is very well. I'm going to mark the main ideas. Okay, so here I have gone affirmative with before, perfect. Twice plus this year, that's a double expression, and that's perfect as well. Very good. Here, remember the reflexive pronouns, yourself, myself, herself. Here, if you analyze, is you that you do the action, and it's for you, so you receive the action. So instead
Mhm.
of you, it is going to be
Yourself.
yourself. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, very good. But here, this is negative, and for years, that's the expression. I'm sorry, the are. Good. Now, here, you're using sought or sought as a past of seek, right? To seek for something, right? Like look for something. Or what do you want to say here?
See.
To see, like see?
Uh-huh.
Remember, if it's see, actually, this is for seek. Seek like this, like
Okay.
buscar, seek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the past for seek. Remember that the past for see is going to be, that's the simple past, and the past participle is
Oh,
seen.
okay.
Okay, that's the one you want to use, right? To see
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yes.
Okay, good. So without the T is not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Good. Exactly. So he hasn't seen his dog since 2022. That's perfect. Again, very good so far. So good. Then have they stay or sorry started the video game already? Good. Uh-huh. And this is correct. And here, this is also good. Have you started the homework yet? That's a perfect question as well. And mainly, okay, this is important. I'm going to show you that now. Usually we use yet in negative ideas, right? But it can be used in questions when you want to put emphasis on that idea. All right, so far, again, it's perfect. But let's try to do something. Remember that we had to use 6 different verbs, right? We have 5, but you're repeating the
Ah,
last verb. So what
yes.
verb can you change? What do you say? Which one do you want to change? Number 8 or number 9? It's up to you.
Okay. Have you finished the
Okay,
homework yet?
yes, correct. You can change that one and it's correct.
Mhm.
Right, good.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have any questions so far, Leandro, because the examples were very good. And again, just those details, okay, that I showed you and
Okay.
everything is good. So do you have any questions so far?
No, I don't have questions.
Okay, good. So let's read, please. Actually, we don't have that. We're going to go directly to the present continuous, present perfect continuous, sorry. So yes, let's read these ideas, please.
Only the examples?
Yes, directly the examples.
Okay. I have been studying. since Monday. She has not been working for 2 weeks. Have they been paying attention in class? What have you been doing these days?
Good. Now, if you remember, this is very easy. Why is it easy? Because we don't have to conjugate the verb, right? It's only been, have plus been plus the verb with ing. That's the only conjugation, right? So have been studying, has not been working, have been paying, right? So it's easier because we don't have to remember the conjugation. Okay, that's why it is very simple. Now we have this, that's the formula. Let's try to directly give examples, but only in speaking. Remember, you have to use been plus the present participle, that is the verb with ing. I have been waiting the bus for hours. Okay, so what is something that you have been doing, Leandro? It can be these days. Okay, what have you been doing these days? What have you been doing for hours, for days, or what have you been doing since a specific date? What do you say?
Mm, I I have been um I have been reading a book um since sorry a week ago.
And since it's okay, if you only say a
Yes.
week ago, it's going to be incorrect, right? A week
Okay.
ago is incorrect because it's when. Remember that
Yes.
in the present,
Mm-hmm.
right? Perfect, we don't say when. So you can say actually since a week ago, and that's correct because
Okay.
we don't know when, but we know when it started, but we don't know if it finished.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say since a week ago. That's perfect. Good. Let's repeat, please, the whole idea one more time.
Okay. I have been reading a book since a week ago.
Yes, good. That's a possible way. If you use since, that's the only possible way to say yesterday, for example. You cannot say I've been reading a book yesterday. That's incorrect. But you can say I have been reading a book since yesterday because you continue that action in the present. All right, good. That's one. Now, in negative, what is something that you have not been doing, Leandro, these days for certain time, since a certain time? What do you say?
Okay. Um, I haven't been um, um, watching TV um, um, for since it's correct.
You can say for, because it's period of time and we don't know when,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's
For
correct to say
weeks.
for. Perfect. I haven't been watching TV for weeks. We don't know when again. It can be 5 days ago that you have not been watching TV for days, or it can be these last days, right? So because we don't know, or for weeks, sorry, but we don't know exactly when. We only know the period of time. Okay, so that's perfect. And the last thing, actually, it's going to be two things. Give me, please, one yes no question like this. Have you been tan tan for or since or any expression that you can use? What do you say? What yes no question can you ask me?
Um, um, have have you been um, speaking English for hours?
Very well. And I can say yes, I have, right? And period. Good. Have you been speaking English for hours? Yes, I have. Now I can ask you on my turn. It's going to be, has your family, okay, has your family been eating out these weeks? Has your family been eating out these weeks?
Um, no, we haven't.
Good. Very good. You can include yourself, or you can use them as they, and you can say, no, they haven't. But we or they are correct
Okay.
because you can include yourself, right? That's perfect. Now, ask me, please, one WH question. It means one information question, but don't use what. Use a different one. Remember, you can use where, you can use why, you can use who, okay? Anything except when, right? You don't ask with when in this case.
Okay. Um, why have you been I I don't know. Why have you
Good.
been I don't know what ask you.
It can be something unreal, right? It doesn't have to be something real or something that makes sense. I mean, it has to make sense in the sense that it has to be logical, right? But you can ask me things that are not real, right? That you are making up, but that I can answer with logic. What do you say?
Okay. Why have you been um doing exercise? Doing exercise. Yes.
Good. You can add in any let's say expression, but that's correct, right? So I can say I have been doing exercise because I want to be in a good shape, right? Or in good shape, right? So good. That's a possible question, all right? And again, you can ask that with expressions like, why have you been doing exercise these days, these weeks, or lately, or recently, or for so many hours, or since last month, right? All of those are possible as long as you don't ask when and you don't mention when. All right, it's going to be
Okay.
correct, but you never say when. Good. Now, my question is going to be similar to the one. Remember that this question is very, very common. How long? Okay, remember, is a period of time. It's not when, it's a period of time. How long have you been, let's say, speaking English? How long have you been speaking English?
I have been speaking English um since my 15 years.
Okay. Sorry. Yes, since remember to talk about age, it's better if you say something like since I was 15 years old.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And only one detail to finish today.
Mm-hmm.
A common yes no question. This is a game, right? I think this is a game in Spanish and a game in English. Like have you ever, right? See, alguna vez, right? Have you ever? So you can ask, have you ever, I don't know, have you ever drunk, I don't know, have you ever drunk a red wine? And you can say, yes, I have, or no, I haven't, right? It means once in your life. Okay, that's a common question. So what can you ask with that? That's the last one, please, Leandro, just to finish. A question would have you ever?
Have you ever been?
And in this case, sorry, with the have you ever, it's better to use the present perfect simple and not the present perfect continuous. It's also possible, but it's more common in the simple form. It means with the main verb in the past participle. It can be been, but you don't use another verb.
Okay. Have you have you ever eaten in Gusto? I don't know.
Good. Yes, that's the name of a specific place. So I can say, no, I haven't, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have never, and I can say that I have never eaten there, right?
Okay.
Or that. Okay, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just details that I wanted to mention because that's how you use these tenses. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
that's it. If you realize, and this is the question that I told you, right? How
Okay.
long have you been? if you again realize, you can use this a lot. Okay, it's very common to use the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous. You use this a lot. It means that you have to know the verbs in the past participle to use this. Okay, it's very important to know that conjugation for the present perfect simple, not for the present perfect continuous, but it's equally necessary. Okay, so with that, we're finishing today. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing. Today was a kind of long, just one topic, because it is very important. Tomorrow we're going to cover embedded questions that it's going to be very simple, and participial adjectives that it's also something that we covered. So it's going to be reinforcement. Okay, so let me know please if you have any questions, Leandro, before finishing now.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So as always, please share in the poll so that you can answer those questions. There you have. And that's it. Okay, so have a good night once again, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next class.
Okay, see you. Thank you. Have a
Bye
good
bye. You're
night.
welcome. You too. Bye.
Bye.